Yo, what's going on, guys? I'm Moxie and this is my battle for Season 6, Week 2 of the CPC. This week I am playing Styx, coach of the Duke Blue Dwebbles. So first off, check out my team builder, which will be linked down below, that went up yesterday. I explained my team and what I'm bringing and why I'm bringing it and all that good stuff, and you know. So check that out. I'm going to be doing them in separate videos for the CPC, just because well, I can get like more points or like tokens or whatever with the system they're doing, and also I feel like it's nice to have shorter videos, at least for CPC, than for the major PL. I can have my sort of longer upload for that on Friday, and then so I'll have team builders for CPC Wednesday, battles for CPC PC Thursday, and then MPL video on Friday. So yeah, so I bring the 6 that I went over for my team builder, and 6 that you can see here. Styx brings those 6 there. I'm not going to read it off because you can see no Ferrothorn, which I wasn't really expecting. Did not bring the Incineroar. Did opt to bring the Swampert, so probably rocks in that. Maybe Necro. I feel like more likely on the Swampert. No Alolan Raichu, so brings nothing super surprising. Yeah, so my lead was Reuniclus, I believe. Just to, yeah, so, as I can like Toxic either Necro or Swampert, which are his likely leads. As he does lead Swampert to probably get up rocks, but he does just switch out. I guess just scouting for like Energy Ball or whatever, as I can just fire off the Toxic, which does Toxic Necro, so I'm good with that. So kind of fearing a knockoff here. And just want to scout my Umbreon here because I might have something else, maybe like an X's to break my Tanga, and I do want to keep that around for the Buzzwole, so I'm just going to go right into my Umbreon, which does not appreciate losing its lefties, as that does help me just stay healthy for longer, but I'd rather get Umbreons out of knockoff than Reuniclus, so I'm just going to go for Foul Play, do some chip. I considered going for Empower Flying, predicting the Buzzwole there, but I'm glad I just clicked Foul Play, because I don't think I want to make that ballsy of a play just yet. I feel like Swampert was a very safe play, so you can just go into that. And I mean, it takes a bit, but he can just get at rocks here for free, really. So I just bring my Reuniclus. He does get at rocks, which is kind of bad. I don't have any way to get rid of them, and it does hurt my Thunders and my Marowak, but I did expect them to be up, and like that's kind of how I built my team around it. So rocks are up, but that's just how it is, and I feel like that's okay. I can hopefully get my rocks later with my Garchomp, and I mean, if he has Defog on like Pidgeot or Coco, maybe I can force him to Defog if he's really afraid of it, but he probably wants rocks on my side anyways. But here we're just both going to go for some damage and scout the set of the other one. As he goes for EQ, I go for Psychic. We see he's pretty Spadef. I think max Spadef or close to it. As I go for, or he goes for Earthquake, sees my investment, which I'm pretty Fizdef, but not max. As I go for a Toxic here, which is kind of a silly play, as well, yeah, so the Psychic, yeah, which just happened. He gets, I did 25%, so he gets 2-KO'd by Psychic. So if I just click Psychic this turn, then he'd be in range of another Psychic. So really, I should just click Psychic again. I mean, worst thing, he goes into Necro, which takes some Psychic and then takes some Toxic. And I can also scout the Necro set, because I haven't seen any damage on that yet. So I really should have just gone for Psychic here. I shouldn't have gone for Toxic, because I feel like that wasn't a bad play to go into Necro again. I mean, like nothing else was really coming in on the Psychic. Maybe Coco if you really wanted to, probably not. Maybe Pidgeot, but I don't think he'd want to bring it in. I mean, he could have brought that in on a Psychic, in which case Toxic would have been helpful, but I still feel like I should just Psychic that turn. That was kind of a bad play. But yeah, so here, I'm just going to go to my Umbreon. Or no, that was a double. Yeah, and he went to Medicham, predicting me to go into Umbreon, I think, because that's what I've been doing versus Necro. So I went to Medi, because he would probably go for the knockoff, and then I can pressure him and then get off a Fake Out, and he'd keep getting whittled down by the poison, and he probably would not be in range of another hit, but I can at least force him to Moonlight, and then switch out into Umbreon, or maybe into my Garchomp and get up rocks, which would be a good scenario for me. I mean, I could just go into Garchomp hard on the knockoff, but I wasn't sure what he was going to do when I had my Reuniclus in. Although I kind of wish I went to Garchomp on the knockoff earlier, when he knocked off my Umbreon's leftovers, but I'll get into that a little bit more later. So I'm just going to go right for the Fake Out here, as it'll, you know, it's just free damage, might as well. Looks like he's not very bulky, so I'm just going to go right at my Umbreon. He says go for a Hurricane. This shows either, I think it showed he was modest. I don't think he's going to be able to get that higher of a roll from Jolly, but I forget exactly. Or from Timid, I mean. But yeah, so he does a lot, and gets a Confusion, which is pretty unfortunate. So I could stay in and try to Wish, but I'm confused, and he might also get a slightly higher roll and be able to knock me out. So I'm just going to keep Umbreon around, at least to stop the Gengar from super freely clicking Shadow Ball. I can probably get 2-KO'd, but I at least want to pressure the Gengar a little bit more. I do want to keep this thing still around. I could have maybe sacked off Umbreon here, and just try to risk it with the Confusion and stuff, and And I'd say maybe I should have, because like if I switch in rocks again, then I still get 2 KO'd by Shadow Ball from Gengar. So it might not be worth it, but in hindsight, I still want to keep Umbreon around. So I went hard in my Thundurus here, as I can still take a Hurricane, not very well, and it's going to take Rocks too. It's not the best scenario for me. But keeping Thundurus healthy could have been helpful too. So maybe I should just add Umbreon there. In hindsight, you know, that's what I'm thinking. But yeah, it is what it is. So I'm just gonna go for the Volt Switch there. I kind of thought he'd go into Swampert, but I was just hoping he wouldn't, fearing me predicting that. But he does go right into Swampert, which is, I mean, smart. And he was Rendo, so he had nothing to fear. And I mean, if I did make the grass not play, then I think he'd still live. But I mean, then he's really low. But like, that's fine for him, as still Swampert did his job. And then he could at least see if I'm Scarfed or not. Well, at least if I click that same move again. But no, he just goes right into Swampert my Volt Switch. I think I should have clicked Power Flying in hindsight, because he probably wasn't staying in. As me bringing in Thundurus, definitely can infer that I'm Scarfed, and also he ended up being Modest, which I knew from the damage. So like I would outspeed him, or I would probably outspeed him, depending on my speed. Which, well, yeah, no, he has Gengar, so I would be creeping out, which I was. So I would be outspeeding his Pidgeot, so he really had no reason to stay in. He could have maybe gone to Coco, in which case Voltage would not have been a bad play. And I mean, he did have Coco as a Thundurus switch, and so I mean, if he went to Coco, it wasn't a bad play. But Power Flying would have been able to 2-KO the Swampert, which would have been really helpful there. So now after hard switches, I'm locked into Volt Switch. As if I did click Voltage, though, again, that would have been a very, very manly play, but a good one, because he did switch out. But he had Coco in versus my Reinforce, which I just brought in for the Swampert. I'm just going to go right into my Marowak, thinking he might Thunderbolt, might U-turn, and that's fine, though, so I can get some Rocky Helmet damage on him. In does come the Gengar, though, which is pretty scary. So I'm going to bring my Umbreon and sack that off. Let's go for Shadow Ball, and we see that he's Specs based on the damage, so, I mean, I'm dead to Rocks anyway, so I have no reason really to stay in, or no reason really to switch out, I mean. But I think I maybe could have sacked off either my Marowak or my Reuniclus there, instead of bringing in Umbreon. That way I could bring in Umbreon and then try to Wish Up. Although, I mean, if I knew he was Specs, that would have been the play, like in hindsight, I think so, because keeping Umbreon around for this, that way it doesn't just get a kill, and also just keeping it kind of healthy for the Pidgeot would have been helpful. And also, like, early with, like, losing it, like, a little bit of chip damage from knockoff, and also losing my lefties was really bad, which is why I think I should have gone to my Garchomp hard on that Necro earlier to get my rocks early, and also, like, if you went for a knockoff, which you probably was going to, then I could get some chip on him and not even lose my item because I'm a Z Crystal. So, that's kind of a misplay early on turn 2. And I mean, I don't think this was a misplay because I didn't know he was Spec Set. I thought he was probably going to need a Life Orb, maybe even Scarfed, in which case Umbreon was going to be my best play. Because if he's a Life Orb, then sacking off something else and bringing out Umbreon just to die to a Focus Blast, or I think he even doesn't even kill from a Life Orb Gengar from that point, then it's kind of pointless. So I mean, I don't think that was a misplay, just because like I didn't know he was Specs yet. If I knew he was Specs, that would have been a better play to sack off Marowak probably. But, you know, it is what it is. We get some information here. Found out he's Specs. So he's locked into that. That's pretty scary, because I only have one mod to outspeed it, being my Thundurus. I only have one more mod that can live a hit, being my Garchomp. So that's scary. I don't want to bring in Thundurus now, because I can only bring in one more time because of rocks, and I can't really lock myself into anything super safely. I mean, if I go for Thunderbolt or Volt Switch, then, I mean, he can just go right into Coco or Swampert, and he'll be fine. So I'm just going to bring my Garchomp here and try to threaten him out. So I go right for the Z move here, I think. As I think Outrage would have killed the Gengar, as would have Earthquake, but I want to make the safe move here. So he might have gone to Pidgeot, or maybe even into Coco, which would have been able to take the Earthquake or the Outrage. So I wanted to just go for the safe move. I mean, if I went to Coco on this, that would have been bad for me. But I didn't. Well, I don't think he'd go hard into Coco on that, as Earthquake was like the play if I was just attacking what was in front of me, being the Gengar. So I don't think he'd go right into Coco, but I want to Outrage and be locked in that, and then allow him just to go right into Coco, and then, I mean, like, if he went to this on the Outrage, and then brings in Coco the following turn, and it's only a 2-turn Outrage, then I can at least switch out and bring in Marowak, I guess. But still, I just didn't want my Garchomp to. I don't think it goes down to 1 dealing, because I have a bit of bulk, and he was not a boosting item. But still, then I'm really low in range of Shadow Ball from Gengar, so I just didn't want to lock myself into Outrage and didn't want to go for Earthquake in case we went to Pidgeot, making the aggressive play there. So in comes the Necrars. I'm just going to go for Rocks here, I think. Pretty safe play, but getting Rocks helpful for Pidgeot and the rest of his team. So let's get Rocks. He does go into Buzzwole right here. So I'm just going to go right into my Marowak to get some chip damage on him, because I don't think he's going to go for Earthquake or Rocks right here. He does go for Leech Life. Pretty safe play. He could have also gone for the Ice Punch, so that would have just been helpful there too. But Leech Life does not much as yeah, I can just go. I pivot right into my Medicham here, thinking he'll go for Rock Slide or Earthquake right now. More likely Rock Slide. I think he'll have that, because it also hits Thundurus. Also hits my Articuno too. So I thought he'd have that. Yeah, I thought he'd have that, in which case my Medicham could chew that. But he does bring in Necro, which is fine though, because this should be in range of Power Punch. Even if he's like max Fizz Def, I need like a min roll for Power Punch not to kill. So I'm just going to grab for the Power Punch, and we are going to be able to pick off this Necrozma, which is nice. Now I'm at +1, so we're looking in a decent spot, but I'm not able to knock out the Gengar here even after Rocks. +1 Bullet Punch does, I think 75%, or I think like 65 to 75%-ish, which is a good chunk, but not quite enough, and I don't want to just lose my Medicham here, so it could be a win con. If I can just get like a +1 later in the game with some more chip on Gengar and Koko, then that'd be nice. And I don't really need much chip on Gengar because this thing does just go down to Garchomp. And I mean, I could use the chip to maybe help out my Thundurus, really pick it off with anything later. But I felt like I wanted Medicham still around, and maybe I don't know. Maybe I should have just gone for Bullet Punch, but I felt like this thing could have been helpful later for Buzzwole. But it turns out it actually was a Scarf Buzzwole, which I didn't really know yet. And also was helpful just to Bullet Punch and chip down the, because after Rocks, Fake Out plus Bullet Punch kills the Pidgeot. So, I don't know. I could have stayed in, but I felt like I had a fair reason not to stay in. I wouldn't have had to switch out and sack off Marowak, which I did do here. I could have got off a lot of damage on Gengar. Maybe I should have, but I don't think it would have mattered too much in the long run. I don't know. I'll get into that more later. So, I'm gonna bring my Garchomp here, and here, I feel like I need to make a ballsy play, get back into the game, and Styx, he wisely... he did stay in because he thought this was the perfect time too for me to make this ballsy play, as he wisely made a good read there. As I was going to Reuniclus, predicting him to go into Buzzwole, as that's a pretty safe switch in. It's his best switch in right now. To Pidgeot, and I thought he'd or to Garchomp, and I thought he'd want to keep this Gengar around still. I didn't think he wanted to just lose it yet, as he can still scare up my Reuniclus, still live hit from Medicham and Oko that, and can at least try to force in the Garchomp and the Thundurus. So I thought he'd still want to keep this thing around. So I thought he'd go into Buzzwole, and I do have Tanga on this Reuniclus, so I can take a hit from Buzzwole and just knock out with a Psychic, or even if he does, just bring in that Buzzwole and gets scared out by a Psychic and fears the Tanga, and then still I can pick up a kill for something with a Psychic, except for Koko, but I can still get off good damage on Koko, which is fine. Or I guess I don't kill Swampert either, but still, good damage on that. So, he did just stay and click Shadow Ball and buy Reuniclus, so that didn't work out too well for me. But I felt like that was a good play, honestly. I don't think it was a bad play on my end. I think I made the play I needed to make, because if I get that call right, I think I do end up winning this game. And I think, because I'm in a good position then, and I really pressure him and still have Reuniclus around for later in the game. Maybe we take it from like Koko, or maybe take one hit from Pidgeot or Swampert or something. But I did lose Reuniclus there, as now this is just a really tough spot for me. As I do just Earthquake, thinking he's just going to sack off Gengar. I thought he showed me his play. I didn't think he'd stay in. I kind of lazily, I think that's a word. Just clicked Earthquake because I thought he'd just stay in Gengar, but no, he made a play in a Pidgeot. Whatever, cool. Fine. Does not have Hidden Power Ice, he's Hidden Power Ground, which makes sense for Tran and Klefki. So I do live that, and I can just knock him out with an Outrage, but in comes Koko, which can be immune. Or no, he just brings in Buzzwole too, because he Scarfs you at speed set, so it's fine. As he does good for Leech Life. He loses more from Rough Skin than he gains, so that's cool. I can bring in my Scarf Thundy, which does have Hidden Power Flying, and this thing is going to go down to that. That's not really going to matter, so he does have Koko, which can chew that. And he does actually have Roost, but he didn't go for it, because he was, I think he just kind of had a little brain fart, or I guess he didn't really need to either way. I mean, it didn't really matter. I mean, he knew I was Scarf because I outsped the Scarf Buzzwole. But it didn't really matter if he went for Roost. It could have helped him, but it didn't come into play. As, I mean, if I crit the Gengar with a Bullet Punch and then crit the Koko with the Bullet Punch, I could have won. Although, if I got a high roll with Bullet Punch and Gengar and then got the crit, if I got a crit on this roll, I would not have knocked him out either way. But yeah, so Gengar just going to go for Shadow Ball and knock out Medicham. That's a very dead Medicham. And that is the game. 28 turns is fairly quick. That was a good game to Styx. He really prepped well. The Specs Gengar worked very effectively. Modest Mega Pidgeot was a good mon early game to weaken down my walls, which I didn't bring Klefki or Heatrance, but didn't have the best answer for the Mega Pidgeot. I felt like, still like Fat, Reuniclus Fat, Umbreon was still decent checks to it, but they got weakened down and pressure quickly. I think some early misplays. I think I should have I think this turn I really should have just gone right into Garchomp there on that knockoff, because I mean I knew he'd probably click knockoff, maybe like X's or something. That doesn't do much either to Garchomp, and I'm fine with that. And I mean maybe he had hit Garchomp with a Photon Geyser, and I did want Garchomp to stay healthy and around for Buzzwole. But he also didn't bring the Incineroar, which Garchomp would have been a helpful pivot too. But he didn't bring that, so I didn't need Garchomp for that. And I didn't really need Garchomp for anything else. It was nice to stay healthy for Gengar, but if I can keep rocks off the field, or at least pressure his Gengar more, then I'm not going to, or at least keep my Umbreon healthy, then I don't really need Garchomp to be able to stay healthy and live the hit from Gengar anyways. So I felt like that was a misplay, not going into Garchomp there. And then later, I'm going for the Toxic again, as we went to Necro was a bad play. I think Psychic was my best play here, or there. And then I could have honestly just stayed in with Umbreon and just try to fight to keep this thing alive and useful, but it's still too low. And then I went to Thundurus. I mean, I could have gone for Bear Flying, but he could have also went to Coco, so that wasn't like a terrible play. But like in hindsight, didn't work out. But Voltage still was nice if it went anything but Gengar, but Swampert, I mean. So and then later I think when he went to, if I knew he was Specs, I would have stayed and just sacked off Marowak, but I didn't know he's Specs, so I feel like that was a fair play. I think that was my best play, knowing what I knew at the time. I don't think going for I don't think just sacking off Marowak was the best play, because I didn't know he's Specs. If he's just Life Orb, then I'm sacking off Marowak, and then Umbreon just goes down 2. Which, I mean, I guess in that case I could have once I saw him go for the Shadow Ball, then I mean I would have known he's the Life Orb if he was Life Orb, because I ever saw it. Then I wouldn't have brought an Umbreon. I could have brought in I guess I would probably have to bring in Thundurus though, because he could have Icy Wind or even D-Gleam, which I think knock out Garchomp if he's Life Orb. So he could have also an Extra Belt though, so I might have thought, like, I wouldn't really know anything based on the damage on Marowak, so just sacking on Marowak there like wouldn't really do too much for me if he wasn't really Life Orb, because I wouldn't really know, because like I wouldn't know he's Specs either way. So he could have been E-Bolt or something, and then knocked out Gengar with a Focus Blast or D-Gleam. So I felt like that was my best play, going to Umbreon there. And then I think after that I think I played fairly well. I made the plays I needed to make here. I mean, yeah, maybe later I could have stayed in with Medicham here when I was at +1, and then got enough damage on Gengar. Then I bring in, I guess, Garchomp, probably. Yeah, Garchomp, and then I can pressure in like the Buzzwole maybe, or maybe Coco. But I mean, I'll probably click Earthquake, but then at least forcing the Pidgeot on rocks. But then I don't really have a switch into that Pidgeot, as everything gets 2KO'd or OHKO'd to that point of my team. So at that point, I'd probably stay in with Garchomp and pick off the Pidgeot. But then still, I need Thundurus to kill that Gengar, which I only have one more switch on our rock. So I don't know. It was a kind of tricky situation. Although I think Bullet Punch might have put this thing in range to Data Rocks if I got a high enough roll. Although I think I need almost a natural, if that. I might need even a higher roll. So I don't know. I'm just kind of going through some hypothetical scenarios and just explaining things and where I went wrong. I think I made a few bad plays. I think I played pretty well for the most part, but just a few bad plays really hurt me here, like turn 2 and the knockoff going into Umbreon, not Garchomp, and later not Psychic King, which that damage didn't really matter too much. Actually, in the long run, it was kind of helpful because that meant my Medicham could power punch the Necro instead of Necro just dying on the rocks. So meant I could get the boost, which is helpful, at least to pressure this Gengar here and make him a little bit worried. But he ran some calcs and Gengar could live with the +1 PP, so it was fine for him. But that is it. I'm gonna stop rambling. This is getting kind of long. So good game of Styx. He really played and prepped well. Great job on his end. So next week we are playing Mio, coach of the Oklahoma City Thundurus. So that is a fun one. And I will see you guys next week with that battle. I'll go up Team Builder Wednesday, Battle Thursday. So I'll see you guys. Peace out.